Hello everybody, Ian here. Just having a quick tidy up. Got these slivers and offcuts of that rubberized cobblestone mat all over the place, and so needing to tidy those up before I get on with fork between the. Oh God, see, there's another bit. So, there's another bit. God, get all over the place. Anyway. So I'm sure you're expecting to see some more work on Fortunio this week, but you're not. Seems strange just doing a week's work on the layout to go off and do something else. But yeah, I mean, I like the mat, but I don't like the mat. As I said last week, I mean, it's a lot of hard work, and it's actually quite dangerous to be trimming this stuff back, trimming that ledge off it to get it to fit over the track. And luckily I haven't cut myself seriously yet, but it always feels when you're holding the knife up to the mat like that, or even if it's on the desk, you're going to slip and you're going to end up with a blade in the end of your finger, and we don't want that. So I've been looking around, but you know, and there's some interesting things out there, but I really need to see them up close. There's materials out there, but they are from like Fowler and Keebury, and though some of them are like they're listed as being for like double O, HO, or whatever scale. When you see them in reality, they are not to that scale. The scale is very elastic, let's say. And case in point is the material that I use for the walls on my Beware of Trains micro. The brick wall there on the left hand side, is absolutely magnificent material, embossed cardboard, beautifully textured, beautifully rendered, great colors and everything. And yeah, it was fantastic, but the material was listed as for O scale. It wasn't even close to O scale. It was pretty much perfect size for 16mm scale. So if I get any of these embossed cardboard materials like from Fowler or Keebury, I absolutely am going to have to see them in person. And therein lies the problem. I've been to one of my local hobby shops, Hub Hobby, in Richfield, and they don't carry any. And so I need to get over to Scale Model Supplies there in St. Paul sometime in the near future. I did find out, this is quite funny, because as some of you might know that I am a keen runner, and I do park run every week. And there's a new park run has opened up in St. Paul. And what do you know? As you drive to Como Park Run, you drive past Scale Model Supplies. So I can go to Como Park Run one Saturday, and on the way back, all sweaty and horrible, I can pop into Scale Model Supplies and see if they have got some of these embossed card materials. So we are on a bit of a temporary hiatus with Fortunio, which is a bit of a disappointment because, like I say, I do like that material, but I don't like that material. So anyway, we're going to see if we can get hold of some of the other embossed cards and see if we can find something to suit that. So we are going to get on with Bontofts. So we're going to head over to the layout there, and we're going to have a look at what I've got to do to get this layout ready for Trainfest in Milwaukee at the start of November. Here we are then, Bontofts. It's good to see it again with the lights on and everything. So always really proud when I look at this with the lights on. I think this is a pretty special piece of work that I've done. Mind you, I might be sounding a little bit sort of like conceited here, but honestly, I really do like this. I think I've done something pretty good. So what have we got to do here? Well, it's yeah, not a lot, but a lot. So the we'll start with here. We've got the this Ikea faker material that I am putting in here underneath the loading dock. What I've got there, it probably looks a little bit too thick. I don't know, because weeds can get really thick and unkempt when they are just left to grow. So maybe in the corner there would have a really thick development of leaves, and perhaps as you get closer around where the Volkswagen truck is going to be sat for the loading and unloading, perhaps I'll be a bit thinner there. But honestly, I mean, right now, I mean, I really do like the way that looks. Then there's the loading chute here. I have managed to repair that, and it's as good as it was before. So, but I mean, so it goes in here. It tips down from there as you from up in the up behind the pelmet, and then it tips into the hopper there, which then it loads the wagon, the skips. There is a part of me that actually would really like to maybe see if I could make some kind of conveyor belt feature that would then tip into the hopper. I think that would be an interesting piece of action, but I don't know how I would do that. I would have to find some commercially made conveyor belt toy, which I would have to convert, which I have to have buckets on it, so that so it could tip sand or whatever into the hopper there. So maybe not, but I mean, I do have a system that works there in the chute, so there's no problem there. The important thing really here is the tipper. Now you'll know that oh my goodness, look at that. Isn't that a pretty cool view there? Oh my goodness, that's quite realistic, quite atmospheric, but I digress. Anyway, as you know, we've had here, that's been the hydraulic operated ram that tips the wagons, and the problem was, of course, was the sand that I was using that wouldn't empty out of the skips totally. Now I don't know whether it was humidity or what it was, but it never tipped out of the wagons totally, which was a little bit annoying, and we had to kind of like shake the wagons really rather hard with the hydraulic ram to get them to empty. And though it was probably quite prototypical, it didn't look very attractive. Well, not to my eyes anyway. But so we're trying to come up with another idea there. Maybe we will have to tip a different sort of material. So I don't know. That's something. I'll look at that, because it tipped okay here. The house is quite dry, and everything tipped really well. But when I got to exhibition halls, maybe the exhibition halls were more humid, and the stuff didn't tip as well. So, I really don't know what I'm going to do here, but I've had a few suggestions for other materials to try tipping with, and we will just have to see what happens there. I might even go back to the original actuation ramp there rather than that hydraulic ram, because that seemed the original tipping rail, the actuation rail that I had there before, that definitely worked better than for emptying the the skips than this hydraulic ram business. Right, let's take a closer look at this faker material from Ikea. Oh God, look, the blooming embossed cobblestone mat gets everywhere. Get it out the way. So anyway, here it is. I've cut this piece up already, and this is it comes in a 1 foot square, and I think it's obviously intended to join to another 1 foot square, and you can make as much area of this stuff as you like, because there's a base framework underneath here, and a matting as well there, and you see the edges of the framework. Some edges have a pin there, and some edges have a hole, so the pins will go into the holes, and so you can expand the area as much as you like. So anyway, that's kind of like what it looks like, and actually what you get, as you can see here, these sprigs of the weeds actually plug into these pins on the base of this framework. You just like pull them off, and you are left with this. It's like a weed, and actually looking at that, it's fairly convincing by itself. You know, that does look pretty good. It's a little bit maybe thick in the stem, but then again, when weeds get away from themselves, you know, they can be quite sizable sort of things. Anyway, yeah, so I really, really like this. I see there's the hole there at the bottom that was fixed to the framework underneath, but as it is, it looks okay. This was sprayed with dull coat to kill the plasticky sheen, and I think I tried to actually spray sprinkle some scatter material on top of it as well to give it a little bit of texture. And I think I might yet just scatter some yellows or whites on there to signify that there's some blooms on there, some flowers on there. But yeah, that's what it looks like close up. And you know, I do actually really, really like this, and I think I'll be sticking these individually under the loading dock. Here we are under the loading dock, and we are going to have to scrape a lot of this old static grass off, because these weeds, you know, they just won't stick to piles of static grass. So we're just gonna have to like scrape all this up, and you know what? It's like dethatching your dog or your cat, you know, combing the molting fur off of your cat or dog or whatever pet you have that molts. So I'm just kind of like scraping this up, and then I will be able to stick the weeds down, and maybe I'll be able to stick some of this back in place around the edges to soften the edges of the weeds. But I was looking over here at where the skip is, and I really like the way that everything is like growing up around here and over the skip. I think that looks really good, and I think it kind of like justifies my decision to use this weed material. There we are. I've started with these weeds, and I think the overall effect is looking pretty good. Like I say, I thinned it out around the tipping point, because, well, people would walk around there and they would tread down stuff, so it would, of course, be thinner. And then over here by the fall and skip, we've really got everything really quite overgrown there, and I think I'm quite happy with that. Obviously, it's very difficult to decide what's good and what's right and what's wrong when you're working in when you've found something new in a new scale. I mean, in 4mm scale, we are used to like throwing down coarse scatter to recreate like weedy patches on the ground. And here, when you get into the larger scales, you could even start to pick out the individual plants and model individual plants. I know Roy Link had some nettles in 16mm scale on his final crow's nest tramway iterations. But we're still kind of like dealing with texture in there. We've actually got a little bit more form in there, and mixing the Ikea faker with my scratch built weedy type things, and I think that looks okay. Very happy with this. There we are. If only one of my favourite bands, Radiohead, had released a song called Fake Plastic Weeds instead of Fake Plastic Trees, I'd be really, really happy. Yes, I am. I'm really very happy with the way the weeds are turning out on Bontofts there under the loading dock. So with that, I will wish you all a good week. I will see you next week. And so don't forget, build that model, lay that track, run that train. But above all, have fun. Hang on a sec. Look, blooming rubberized cobblestone mat. Just said it got everywhere. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, and perhaps subscribe to the YouTube channel for lots more micro layout goodness every week, and maybe the odd reference to alternative rock and pop music along the way.